since we're not allowing people to come in person, but I mean, when we do the hybrid meetings, I don't think we will be, we'll have to do that. Sorry, I'm just trying to get back to, there we go.
All right. Okay, let me call the special meeting of the Youth City Library Board to order and ask Cindy to call the roll.
Okay, I'm going to call everybody's name in case some people are in the process of logging in. Mark Barnes. Kim Dietzler.
Here.
Erin Ginsberg.
Here.
Joan Greco-Cohen. Latrice Johnson. Gerald Lander. Helen Nelling.
Here.
Kathleen Simpson.
Here.
And Cindy Zerwas here.
Okay. We are going to defer the minutes until our next regularly scheduled meeting, when we will have the minutes from both our previous board meeting and this special meeting. Patrick, is there any public comment?
Lots of sympathy expressed just in person and via email and on Facebook about the flood.
Okay. Is there any correspondence you want to share that can't be deferred to the next meeting?
No, you know, I've heard from one other person, Mr. Hegelman, who wants to make a donation in memory of a friend, have one of the small meeting rooms, you know, a little plaque in there for him.
Okay, we could discuss that at the next meeting.
Yes.
I don't think Mr. Clay is on, so we will skip the council liaison report and we'll go to the librarian's report, which was sent to you by Patrick.
And then I've got that up on the screen too, I think.
Yeah. So
there's not really much in the consent agenda, just the Municipal Library Consortium is having a meeting on Wednesday. And I just wanted to point out that our bank balance is healthy at the moment.
Good.
That,
Which means that we will be able to pay our deductible.
yes.
Okay. Patrick, do you want to real quick say what you can about the revised Secretary of State rule in HB 1159?
Yeah, can you see that up, the proposed rule up there now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you cannot see it, yes.
So he took out the maturity level, which, you know, had been pointed out was a not a thing that could be determined, and the accesses any material in any form, which was nice, and changed the prurient interest to the more legally defined child pornography, pornographic for minors, or obscene. And I would like to point out once again that these are not materials that the library would ever purchase. In section C changed that, you know, the vague any minor to a particular minor, and that particular minor's parents or guardians can, you know, determine what they'll access. Mm-hmm. And then that section any parent or guardian of a minor within the library district may dispute or challenge the library's age appropriate designation. And instead of having it the much broader, you know, any person. So those were nice. I spoke with the Secretary of State on Friday briefly and thanked him for making those changes. Thanked him for his support for fully funding libraries. The House Bill 1159 is a little more problematic. It uses some of the same language from the original proposed rule. The sort of maturity level is in there. And it does allow for us to use state aid to public libraries and the athletes and entertainers tax for maintenance and repair of libraries facilities, which is nice. But it does, oops, sorry, I think lines, you know, on line 68 and 69 here, any political subdivision or person employed knowingly violates subsection 2 of this section shall be liable, $500 fine per occurrence. And line 75, sovereign immunity shall not be an affirmative defense. I was speaking with Linda Ballard yesterday, former director, and she said, well, this is just every child then would need to use self-check so that, you know, no staff member is intervening there. And we're certainly going to address that in terms of policy if this rule goes through.
Do we have any idea what potential changes would be in a Senate version?
None at this time. I mean, it's had a second reading in the House. We're going to contact Ian Mackey and of course Joe Adams and Brian Williams and ask them to do what they can to leave it in terms of local control, parents responsible for what their children check out, and not be charging librarians a $500 fine every time. I'm not even sure under what circumstances they would do that.
And
but
how would that be enforced?
It says in the statute that they could, the person who's the injured party could sue us in circuit court in Cole County, the county in which Jefferson City is found. So,
So a parent would have to say, you let my kid check out Lady Chatterley's Lover.
Something like that without my consent. Yeah. We would of course try to get our policy to read that, the child may check out anything that the parent, that when they present the library card and the book that they want to check out, that we're to assume that the parent's given them permission. And then, but there's also some other parts of subsection 2 that any event should have an appropriate age sort of level. And that's not just any event the library is putting on, but any event that anyone wants to use a meeting room for. So potentially someone could be offended at an event that someone's putting on, a public meeting or in a private meeting, more or less, that their child wanders into, and we would be liable for that somehow. Though it does say we'd have to knowingly violate it. So it's vague and weird.
But proving all of that and wasting court time and everything, it just seems nonsensical.
It does. And we'll try to point that out. If they feel the need to have a law like this, that it should be more tightly written and let us know what it is that they're trying to do with that.
Okay, and so let's move on. If you want to give us an update on the flood.
Yes, a couple of things. Today, I spoke with Ty Ohl, the gentleman who's in charge of installing the high-density shelving. He spoke with Space Savers, the manufacturer. They believe that everything that was below, that was underwater, will have to be replaced. Carrie and I were discussing that. That would leave, 5 shelves sort of floating in the air above the structure that was underwater, and I guess the top of the thing. So it looks like a lot of that will have to be replaced. We're going to have Inservio is sending someone out at Chubb, our insurer's request. Inservio is like an inventory company. They'll be coming out and counting the shelves, determining whether something needs to be cleaned and restored or thrown out. And they'll want a list of the books too. So we'll get that to them. They'll be coming out next Monday at 9 a.m. Woodard's working diligently at getting the books out of there. They're moving them over to Trinity. And we're going to run out of space at some point there. And Carrie and I will be discussing tomorrow where any of the other books coming over to UUM, or, are we going to move them upstairs in Trinity, or are we going to let Woodard store them for us? So we'll talk to the insurer and Woodard about that too, to see how that's going to go. Let me go back to this.
About Patrick, do you have a ballpark of like how many books that might be ballpark wise?
We had about 40-some thousand books in the basement, and it looks like about 2/7 of that, slightly more than a quarter. So maybe 10,000 items, maybe more, are going to be lost.
And would the intention be to replace all 10,000 items?
We'll use that money to bolster the collection, certainly. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we'll talk to the insurer. Do we have to buy every James Patterson novel we we lost, or do we just move on, and buy the new James Pattersons?
Okay.
Um,
Were some of these not singletons? Did we have, a few copies of a specific James Patterson?
we
So
always
now
try
we
to
will
have
just have
multiple copies
fewer.
of James Patterson, yeah.
So now we will just have fewer copies of James
Yeah, that's
Patterson?
possible, but then there were also things like, the Encyclopedia of World War II, the Encyclopedia of the Vietnam War. I saw those going out. Quite a few big reference things. So it's going to be it's a painful process. And I'll talk to the insurer about whether or not we need to go through the list and we can only purchase those particular items, or if they'll just reimburse us for the loss and we can use that for collection.
Okay. What happened with the historical societies part of the basement?
They're not too upset. We were planning on having more of their stuff moved by that time, but we'd had to, and I was sick that week, and Dallas and New Day Moving had postponed moving till Monday, the Monday after the flood. So that got canceled. We hadn't really moved any of their stuff back in. They lost some old tax records and some large, books handwritten from the 40s and before that can't be replaced really and can't be restored because it was all, handwritten in ink and it all washed out. I wasn't too many of those. A lot of those were above the flood. And some other miscellaneous items they lost. So,
okay. Well, I'm glad that they're feeling okay about.
Yeah, they were relieved to see how little was there of their stuff.
Okay.
Do you want to move through some of the other stuff that we lost?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay, and it was in the report, so
yeah. Elevator.
We're going to have to order the end caps that we lost a lot of those. We had moved those and the shelving into the basement in anticipation of putting them together and getting stuff back into the library. We were told we can go ahead and order new end caps and that the insurance will cover that. Wanted to bring that to the board first because it's going to be a high dollar item, but we don't have a really good proposal yet. We just had the ballpark figure, which came out to be about, I don't recall what that was, something around 38,000.
Didn't it already seem that it would be more cost effective to buy new end caps than to renovate the old ones?
Yeah, especially we were only planning on buying new ones for the shelves facing the public, and not the ones facing the other side. But we're going to have to buy more of those now, just because even the ones that we weren't that weren't going to be facing the public, those are warped and ruined. So we'll need something there. So we'll talk to the insurer and we'll get. We've got Ty Ohl has got us, sort of a ballpark figure. The furniture rep is supposed to be getting us. He'd gotten us 3 bids, but those were on renovating the existing ones. And since the existing ones can't be used, we're asking her for some more information. And then we reached out to Library Furnishings Incorporated, who had some interesting ones on their website, and they're going to get us some costs too.
And now what's a step down transformer?
So it comes in at, I'm not sure what the voltage is that the power comes into the library, but it allows us to have what is it, 110 and the 220, the 223 phase for the elevator and the HVAC. And then down to the 110 for just about everything else. The transformer, I guess, without that, we can't have the 3-phase. So if we were to open without it, we would be opening without HVAC and without the elevator. The elevator itself, we'll find out more hopefully on Monday. We're supposed to be getting a call from Kone Elevator Service, who came out and took a look at the elevator late last week. Okay. Another big expense is going to be for the library is going to be replacing the water pipe that burst. The insurer, let's see, it was Lisa Galina from Chubb, who came out on Wednesday, indicated that would be our responsibility unless it had been due to, freezing, which it seems unlikely. We will have somebody coming out to take a look at the pipe again, from, I guess that'll be Oscar Camargo is going to come out, and he's bringing a building consultant with him, an engineer. So hopefully they'll have an idea about that too. Ken Cullen, who took a look at that last week, sending a report supposedly on Monday with his recommendations.
Patrick, I have a question. These people who are coming out to look at the section of pipe that we need to replace because it's on library property, is there any advice from any of these experts that we just go ahead and replace all of the plumbing that's out there rather than just this one pipe, so we don't have this problem in the near future?
Yeah, it's basically 2 pipes from the building back to the about 15 feet away where the meter is. One is the one that burst, which was the standpipe fire department fire suppression system, and then the other one is the supply for the building. And I think Ken Cullen has said that he's going to recommend that we replace that. I don't know if he's going to recommend replacing back to the meter or replacing back to the street.
Okay. And just to be clear, we believe that insurance will pay for our losses as far as redoing drywall and replacing equipment and shelves, etc. But the insurance will not cover replacing the water pipes.
That's what I believe right now. That's what Lisa indicated. We'll wait to hear that from Oscar.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll have a better idea by then. What we can expect. But yeah, I do believe that we'll have to pay for the pipe, and we'll have to pay for digging it up and replacing it if that's what we choose to do. Ken also indicated he might recommend what PLS and Ranieri had sort of recommended, which is putting in a drain system, a more robust drain system in the garden.
Also, so that this won't happen again.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the drains we had out there were quickly clogged with all the dirt that was rolling through there, and then it just, it went into the basement, overwhelmed the sump pump. Another thing that Ranieri's recommended is raising the outlet for the sump pump so that is not shorted out. We have a pit in the back where the HVAC used to sit long ago, and the sump pump's there, and it was overwhelmed apparently. Overwhelmed and then shorted out.
Is it possible to get a water alarm installed?
That's an interesting idea. No one had brought that up yet, but that would be something where we would be alerted as soon as it starts going. Something like that. Yeah, I'd heard them talking about that for the river to pair and things like that. It seems like that would be a good idea. Yeah, I mean, we in some ways we were lucky that it happened on Friday instead of Saturday or Sunday.
Right.
So because the Ranieri guy found it.
Yeah, Ranieri.
Yeah.
All the contractors were getting there at 6 a.m. and they immediately called me. So.
Are there any other questions? Well, can we talk about timing? How
yes.
this?
So right now it looks like this could push us back to mid-May for opening because of the lead time on the pumps and the step-down transformer. The boilers, it looks like they're in stock, but the pumps and the transformer could be late. It's possible that if it's a balmy May, if it's a mild May, we could, open up without the HVAC and without the elevator, if that's something that the inspectors would allow us to do. It's also completely possible that I'm missing some point on what the transformer does, and we wouldn't have the fire alarm or something. Though I don't think that's likely. Ranieri believes that they're still going to complete everything except for redoing the basement by their original date of March 30th. So we'll have the 2 floors. We can start moving the books in. We won't have an elevator to move stuff upstairs, so that'll be a little more difficult, a little more expensive. That'll involve the movers carrying it upstairs.
Well, when we don't know yet how long it's going to take to, or what we have to do to the elevator until.
We
the
don't have any
elevator-
idea on the elevator yet, but I mean,
No.
we just the power on the elevator will be
Yeah.
at the end of the month. I mean, sorry, 10 to 12 weeks.
Well, wouldn't it make sense just to wait till everything's done before you would open instead of having people schlep all that stuff upstairs and everything? I mean,
It might well be, yeah, that might be where we just put it off till mid-May.
For safety reasons, I can't see the city inspectors passing a public building that doesn't have an elevator in case of an emergency.
that's right.
Well, in an emergency, we generally don't use the elevator, so it would just be, inaccessible to anyone with a mobility issue.
That's what- If somebody
What we've done
needed
in the
to,
past is we've made the reasonable accommodation of like, we will go upstairs and get you anything you need and bring it down. But yeah, I mean, I do see that point about it, it might well be more, economically make more economic sense to wait until it's in there rather than pay people to carry things up the stairs.
Yeah, plus you said if it's mild weather, maybe you don't need it, but you know how it can be in May, all of a sudden it could be like,
Yeah.
95 and now you got to close for that day.
Yeah. Exactly.
Better just to
Or
wait till
we
you're
can
done.
have we,
And I did ask the insurer if they would cover the additional month, at least month of rent that we're gonna have to pay at UUM and 6,900.
and
How
did
much
you
is
get an answer?
Basically, she noted it down and said
Oh,
she'd
okay.
get
But
back
we
to us.
don't know yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we in a position where we have to do a GoFundMe or?
No, I think we're in really good shape. We're still we haven't been paying as much out of the general fund because we've been able to pay it out of the BOKF funds. We have $3,762,974 as of last Friday. Looking at the bank statement again right before the meeting, we haven't done any payroll out of this month. It hasn't been booked yet.
Oh, so that, yeah, so.
Yeah, so that'll be potentially 300,000 out of that, but we still have more on hand than we did this time last year.
And how close are we to using up the KF funds?
Before this, it looked like we were going to go over by about $34,000, which was just a little bit more than the cost of the July flood. That cost us $23,000. We were going to be 11,000 over budget, not including that. So 34,000 over budget, which is, we're comfortable in a good place with the bank balance.
Okay. Any other discussion?
No, I'm
on-
sorry, and we do have the BOKF payment of $282,000 coming in April, but that should still leave us with plenty of room to get everything done that's necessary to get done for the building to open and look at some of the improvements we were talking about post project.
do we have any ballpark figure on what this flood is costing us total?
Not at the moment. We're going to get figures from Ranieri on what it's going to cost to get it back to where it was. It's going to be at least 140,000 from Woodard, is what they're saying now, and they would like a 50% payment of 70,000. They sent that to us to let us know, and also to the insurer.
Right.
And Woodard has, said several times they have a really good relationship with this insurer.
Oh, good.
And Patrick had told me that he's been very pleased with Woodard's work. So,
Yeah, they're there
That is
today,
good.
moving books and everything.
okay.
There is a silver lining to all of this, even though it's a terrible thing. And Patrick has even more work to do. And that is, if it had happened 2 months later, after everything was back in the library, I think
Yes.
our losses would be much higher
Yeah.
and more complicated. Because if you have moved out of your temporary location, where would you go? And where would you move everything?
Now, Cindy, that's a really good point. And I
Yeah,
think we should keep that in mind.
yeah, and
I mean,
also,
I'm sorry it happened, but
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it was also nice to have the contractors there at 6 a.m. and, have them sort of know what the next steps were to call Woodard right away, which I think we would have gotten to, but, they were there and already had Woodard on the way, so.
great.
Would have been worse.
Okay, is there any more discussion on the calamity?
Oh, and yes, I'm sorry. I'll let you finish that.
No, I'm finished.
Okay,
I just,
there's another, there was a sort of, I don't know how to describe it. The entrance from the parking lot is a little more formidable than what we thought it was going to look like. And there was a kind of a change made from the plans we had thought were going to be implemented on the sidewalk heading east from the parking lot entrance, the one that ends in the 2 stairways. Instead of having a step down to it, it's sloped down, which is in a way nice, but could cause us to lose several of the trees. We had a meeting with Ranieri and the civil engineer and Bond on Friday, and they're going to get back to us with a couple of proposals. Right now, what they're talking about is sort of a little block, garden block enclosure kind of going around the trees so that the trees aren't damaged, and that we don't lose the gravel from under the sidewalks as well. Carrie, I feel like I'm stumbling on this one. Do you have any sort of explanation that I'm missing here?
I mean, I had a really hard time picturing what they were talking about other than like the garden block thing. I mean, I don't know what a garden block looks like, but I didn't really see how that fit into the picture of what we're looking at. So at the end, they kind of just came back and said, okay, let's pour what we know has to be poured, because maybe seeing the full picture will help them figure out what action needs to be taken. And I felt like that made sense at the very least. And they had a couple of other options they threw out, but the engineer was like, well, I mean, if we just want to save money, I'll come over here with garden blocks. And it's like, the contractor was like, I mean, if you want to go that way, we'll do the garden blocks. Like, we don't.
Yeah, the concrete people said that they could do the garden blocks and they'd glue them together, and they think it would look nice the way they're describing it. We're waiting to see sort of a pictorial representation of this, but
I was going to say
maybe
a drawing would be helpful.
Yeah.
And maybe you City and Bloom people have some.
we're
ideas
reaching
how
out to U-City and Bloom about that, and and the
merge.
forester telling them we want to keep those trees. A couple of the contractors are saying, well, the 2 trees that are really in danger are sort of anemic looking, but we like them. They're nice flowering trees, I think, in the spring. We'd like to not lose any more trees. And we have to talk to.
I'm sure U-City and Bloom would like us not to lose trees.
Yeah, and we have to talk to U-City and Bloom too. They've sent us a proposal for replacing the irrigation system, which was damaged by, I think, every one of the contractors, and to the point where we couldn't really, I think, comfortably assign blame as to who did what. So
the plants look a little sad,
yeah,
even though it's February from all that flooding. And maybe they'll come
yeah,
back.
the garden is going to have
spring.
to definitely be looked at. And I talked to Judy Prangy about coming out for that. She's going to have Jesse, the sort of director, come out and look at the garden and assess that. There's some really nice little birch trees over there that we hope will survive.
Yeah, the trees I think will be okay. And
Yeah.
granted, that's small potatoes compared to everything else, but I just happened to drive by there the other day to see how things were looking, and
Yeah.
it looks like it got put in the washing machine or something.
Yeah.
Kind of sad.
And unfortunately, all that dirt that's missing is in the basement. So
I did see the trucks that from Woodard that were there that are still,
And they
Okay,
still have
big
that
fans and-
giant
yeah.
unit that's a dryer basically running. They've got a huge diesel generator powering a unit that's pumping warm, dry air into the basement.
Okay, well, and I want to make sure that that basement is absolutely dry. I don't want anyone who has to work in that basement to be at any kind of risk.
Yeah, yeah. There's a sort of a not great smell in the basement right at the moment, but they haven't started cleaning yet. So
what about mold? I
Okay.
mean, we're supposed to have warm weather.
That's what I was,
And
yeah. So
That's why-
the next steps are going to be them going in and power washing and cleaning everything, and throwing out anything that may be, harboring mold.
right.
Hmm.
And once we get a functional sump pump again, that would be a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions or comments about the calamity? Okay, let's move on to the action items. We need to, we have a request for payment from Ranieri for $519,590.56. And Patrick, that you've looked at the prevailing wage data on that?
I
And
just
Bond has
received that
looked at
on Friday. Bond has signed it. I don't, like I said, I've got the wrong copy on this, but I'll still have to do the prevailing wage thing, but they've been
Okay.
good all along. So
All right, then, if I could have a motion, we could approve it, assume, with the proviso that the prevailing wage data meets our requirements.
I'd like to make a motion that we that we approve it with the prevailing wage proviso.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded that we pay Ranieri's invoice submitted for work completed in January, assuming that the prevailing wage data meets our criteria, the amount being $519,590.56. Is there any discussion? Cindy, will you call the roll, please?
Kim Dietzler,
Aye.
Aaron Ginsberg,
Aye.
Helen Nelling,
Aye.
Kathleen Simpson.
Aye.
And Cindy Zerwas, aye.
The motion passes. Ranieri Construction will be paid. The second action item is to pay half of Woodard's.
Helen, I apologize for
Yep.
interrupting. We haven't been asked to pay yet. They've asked the insurer to pay. We're only liable if the insurance doesn't.
Oh.
Okay, so we are going to approve a potential payment, or is the issue that it will take the insurance so long to pay that Woodard wants their money now?
That could be, but we haven't been alerted to that yet. They did say if the insurance isn't going to pay, that they would ask us to.
Well, then, would you like us to defer?
No, I guess thinking about it more, so it would be approval of the agreement with Woodard with the additional note that we may have to pay up to $70,000
Okay.
right now before the next board meeting.
Okay, so Patrick is only asking us to approve the agreement at this point.
And but as you said, it would include, if the insurance doesn't pay, we would have to pay the $70,000. So you were right. I was wrong. I apologize.
Don't ever let that happen again. Okay, may I have a motion?
I would like to make a motion that we approve the contract with Woodard with the understanding that if the insurance does not pay, we will be liable for $70,000.
Yes.
Is there a second? Cindy
Second.
is seconding. All right, is there any discussion? The motion has been made and seconded that we approve the agreement with Woodard and the potential liability of $70,000. Cindy, would you call the roll?
Kim Dietzler,
Aye.
Aaron Ginsberg,
Aye.
Latrice Johnson. I saw her name pop up a minute ago. Helen Nelling,
Aye.
Kathleen Simpson,
Aye.
Cindy Zerwas, aye.
Okay, the motion passes. We will approve, the agreement with Woodard is approved, and we understand that there is a potential liability of $70,000. And in a discussion with Patrick, I believe we are going to defer approving the revised furniture proposal. Is that correct?
No, I was asking that we table the next item after that, the NCAP proposal.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So we are being asked to approve the revised furniture proposal. It will be slightly less than, do you know what the actual amount is now?
I just, when I had that phone call earlier, there are a couple other items that were related to the ones we're taking out. But I think I sent that. Let me go to my other desktop here.
You have a current total of $420,975.
Yeah, it'll be slightly less than that.
Oh, less
Okay.
than, okay.
Yeah, by a couple of $100, I think, at the most $1,000. Just the locks for the cabinets were canceling.
Okay, so how much would are you submitting for approval?
Up to the amount in the email. Let me get to that.
420,975.41.
And this will be for all the
75.41.
furniture and for the movers, disassembling the shelves, bringing them over and assembling them.
Okay. Is there, okay, may I have a motion? Anybody?
I'm thinking of,
I'm trying to wrap my head around it too. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Modern Business Interiors proposal. For $426,665.
No.
Okay,
Up to
up to,
42975.41.
okay, yes, that.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
A motion has been made and seconded that we approve the furniture proposal from MBI, which will be at a cost of up to $420,975.41. Is there any further discussion? Cindy, would you call the roll?
Kim Dietzler,
Aye.
Aaron Ginsberg,
Aye.
Latrice Johnson.
Aye.
Thank you. Helen Nelling,
Aye.
Kathleen Simpson,
Aye.
and Cindy Zerwas, aye.
Okay, the motion passes and the revised furniture proposal is approved.
Excuse me,
we
Helen. Can I ask who seconded that? I couldn't see the name. on the
It was
screen.
Kathleen.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Nice to hear your voice. And Patrick has suggested that we postpone the NCAP proposal since more information is coming in.
Yeah, we should have that for the March 8th meeting, I believe.
Okay. And
I apologize, Kathleen. The Woodard proposal was one that I did not send earlier. When I signed the agreement, as soon as I signed it and hit OK, it disappeared, and I had to call the guy to get it sent back to me. So
the next item on the agenda is the president's report, and since this is a special meeting, I have no report. Is there any old business? Is there any new business?
We've had
I would
enough,
like to thank you. We've had enough business.
no, we've had enough new business.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. I would like to thank all of you for making yourselves available this afternoon on short notice,
Thank you so much.
and for being as concerned as you are about our renovations and our troubles. So if
Thank
there's
you,
nothing
Patrick,
else,
for all. Yeah, thank you, Patrick, for your leadership in this. I know it's a lot of extra work, and we really appreciate you.
I really appreciate all the support from the board, and hopefully we'll get through this, and it won't be too much of a delay before we open. But thank you, Kim.
from your
I-
mouth to God's ears.
Yeah, you've
Um,
probably put in so many extra hours just in the last 2 weeks, just on flood.
Yeah,
relief.
it's as many people when we've talked about it said, it's not Ukraine. Nobody got hurt. It's just stuff. It's just water. And hopefully we'll be in better shape when this is done, so that 50 years from now the library won't have this happen again.
We hope.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. Thank you all again. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn our special meeting.
We are adjourned. Thank you all. Have a nice afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks to Cindy and Carrie for showing up on on President's Day when
Yeah,
I
holiday.
planned it. Yeah.
Patrick, this is when I was a public school librarian, we had a flood
Yeah.
at the entire history section of my library. And we did not have to buy the exact same books to
Oh, good.
replace